Alright, after way too much time has elapsed, I now have 4 of these pieces. I made 2 slightly different for the front that are a little bit lighter duty, and then 2 heftier ones for the back. The main difference is that they're a little bit thicker through this area. So about 1 millimeter thicker. I probably should have just made them all this size, but whatever. Alright, so I've got the pieces I just made mounted on in a similar orientation to how they will be. What I need to do now is make an aluminum plate that fits in this area. It looks like I got lucky. I have some of this stuff that I bought so that I could actually cut it up and use pieces of it. And yeah, it is just wide enough. So what I'm going to do is make a CAD file, and by CAD I mean cardboard aided design, figure out exactly what shape this needs to be cut out as. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the brackets out of the way, and I'm going to trim this back until it fits perfectly in place. Alright. This will also be pretty easy to touch up once I make this out of aluminum. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to trace this out onto a piece of aluminum and cut it out. There we go. As crazy as it sounds, I think what I'm going to do is cut this off in the bandsaw, and then I'm just going to use a hacksaw to cut this, and then sand it. I'll cut on the outside of the red line, and then I'll use the sander, the belt sander, to get accurate. Just like that, we've got a chunk of aluminum that we can now put in the hull of the jet ski into 1/2 like this. And that's how it will sit. Basically like that. All I need to do is make some holes and then tighten it on there. 68. And the surf brace is finally done. As you can see, it's done and it looks pretty cool. For those of you who follow my YouTube channel, you will have seen this under the hood of the X2 probably several times now. It is one of those things that kind of fades into the background. Once the hood's closed, you don't really see it there. This clip is actually being shot 2 months after the last clips that you saw. So I've actually been testing this for about 2 months and I'm really happy with it. It's a really nice place to mount my cooling lines, fuel lines, and it's also, as an added bonus, a nice place to set the fuel can while I fill my tank because I have an under the hood fill. As the name suggests, this is a surf brace. It is designed to brace or strengthen the hull because the X2s have an issue with cracking between the footwell and the front of the hull. Whatever that's called. They crack. Anyway, this does a really good job of stiffening up the chassis. You can actually even feel the difference in it. I probably won't be able to find the clips, but if you look back through some of the old footage, I have video footage of BJ's X2 with the camera pointing backwards from the front, and you can actually see the gap between the hood and the body expanding and shrinking. And the reason for that is the hull actually bends and the gap gets smaller and larger. This pretty much gets rid of all of that. I've never seen that on mine, and I looked through all of my footage, so I would have noticed it. Anyway, if I were to build another one of these, which I may very well do, I might build a different version of this, or I might build a few to sell. If I were to build them, I would probably do it with flat carbon fiber because even though it's been holding up really well, it gets blemishes on it and stuff. So you get tape residue, water spots, just when it's shiny, you notice every little thing that shows up on it. So the flat carbon fiber, yeah, doesn't show up all that stuff as well. The reason why that came to mind is because I built a few camera rigs. If you guys have been watching my videos, you will have heard me talk about them and seen footage from them. And the last one that I built with flat carbon fiber. The first one that I built with the glossy stuff. And yeah, it gets fingerprints and water spots and everything all over it. While the flat carbon fiber, it just looks nice all the time. Anyway, I would also like to change these clamps if I ever build one again. Not necessarily because these are bad, but because these were really, really tricky to build, and I don't think that there's really any benefit to it. So if I were to build this again, I would probably make it so that it was kind of separate pieces, and in total it would use 8 bolts. So yeah. Also, I don't think I would use the hex around the top here because, as I mentioned in a previous video, you can actually tighten these enough so you could probably break the chassis just by tightening these by hand. So there's absolutely no need for these whatsoever. And then there's no need for a lock nut or anything because once you tighten these up, the rods can't turn, so everything is locked in place. Anyway, that's probably going to be the end of the Surf Brace series. I may do some modifications to this. I was thinking about making one of these out of carbon fibers. What do you guys think about that? Should I leave it aluminum
or should I try to make one of these out of carbon fiber? Also, the idea of this being an X, I was going to get Megan to print me out a 2 decal to put in the center of there. What do you guys think about that? Is that dorky or cool? Actually, what I could do is get her to print out an X and then basically powder coat the X whatever color and then peel that off. And I would have like an aluminum 2 in there. What do you guys think? What should I do? Anyway, I've blabbered on way too long. This series has probably taken me the longest of anything that I've ever done. Been the longest running series. I don't remember when I made the first one of these videos, but yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I was also thinking about putting a carbon fiber plate in the center here, and I'm probably going to get Megan to make a Dexel.